What's the frequency, Kenneth? That is the question we ask ourselves when we're demoing the SoloDallas Storm pedal. Now, I'm not going to go into the story behind how this pedal came to be. It's a fantastic story. If you don't know about Ken Schaffer and his famous wireless unit that was used by Angus when playing live with AC/DC, highly recommend that you check that story out, because that's really what this pedal's background is. I want to get straight to some more sounds, and we're going to just do some ABs. So I've just got the pedal on just now on a setting that I quite like the sound of, and we're just going to go through a few different types of playing. Pedal off, pedal on. So I'll leave you to decide what you think of that sound, but I'm very impressed, I have to say. I think that on that last one that I did there, when I left that chord going, you can hear the chord sustaining a lot more when this pedal is on. I think maybe let's look at the controls first, and then we'll have a little bit more of a chat about the sounds of it. So what we have is gain. Although I wouldn't describe this as a gain pedal. We have boost, and again I wouldn't describe it as a booster, although it can be used as that if you want, and limiter, and again I wouldn't describe it as a limiter or a compressor sustainer. Now limiter, that's the kind of thing where we go, what's a limiter? And I think it's probably fair to say the young guitar me, you know, or anyone who've maybe been playing for maybe 5 years or so, certainly when I was younger I probably wouldn't have understood what this pedal does, why it's good. You know, it's not like a kind of marquee effect, like for perhaps say distortion, or you know, an effect that you can really express yourself with, like wah wah or something like that, where you're very engaged in the effect. It's a wee bit more subtle. Having said that, I think that Angus would probably have said this was the most important thing in his guitar rig. And it could be the difference between, you know, a good guitar tone and a really, really incredible guitar tone. If it's used kind of correctly, I guess. So let's listen to the controls. What I'm going to do is just put this limiter off completely, and we're just going to listen to the differences in the gain setting. I've tried to keep that boost there because I wanted to try to keep the volume of my guitar with no effect. It's roughly the same as the volume of the effect itself, but as we go through the gain it will start to get louder. Okay, with it down there it doesn't do anything. And then we'll just start going through this. I'll just use chords first, I think. And full. Let me try some lead line. I'm going to start down there so we've got something. Wee bit of distortion coming in there, a wee bit of breakup. quite a lot of kind of distortion coming in there at the full gain. Now that's because my amplifier at the clean channel, I wouldn't actually describe it as being totally clean, and I'm using a guitar at the moment with quite high output pickups. Now that sound might be pleasing to some, we might want that kind of sound, but I think the thing with this pedal is you need to adjust the gain to the type of guitar you're using, what type of pickups you have, and exactly what's going on with your amplifier. So, you know, like down here, it wouldn't distort as much. Now, the booster's just volume. That's all that is. It's 31 dB of clean boost. So I guess, well, let's go through them. The settings doesn't actually change the kind of sonic characteristics of the pedal. It's just loud, and that's all. So I'm going to keep the gain there so it's not distorting itself too much. And then full. Wow, this is going to blast the windows off. Bring it back down here. Put the pedal off. Back on. Now obviously the limiter's not being used yet, and I think the limiter is a really cool part of this pedal, because as you heard there, depending on what's happening with the gain, it can sometimes break up a wee bit. Maybe we want that, maybe that's what we want, maybe we don't want that. And the limiter does a really good job of taking away any breakup that might be happening, and it tightens things up. So let's have a little look at it. I'm going to put the boost down here so we're not too loud. I'm going to go with a full gain here. So I like to think of that gain pedal as this, like the secret sauce of this pedal. That's where all that goodness from the Schaffer unit is. So I guess if we have it full, we're going to get the full effect of that. And as the limiter comes on, well, you'll hear. So here we go. This is the limiter. This is it off. Again, that's because we've got all that gain on, but let's see what the limiter does. Put it to here. Still getting a wee bit of that kind of breakup. I've been finding that this is the kind of sweet spot for the limiter for this particular guitar and amp combination if the gain is full. Little sort of break up there, but mostly all really, really clean and controlled. Now if we go here, we're really squashed. Do that again. So any of that kind of breakup that was happening is now gone, and I was very impressed with that limiter circuit. It's a very clever wee thing. I believe it's an optical limiter, and I think what's happening is it's hitting the signal before it reaches the other two circuits rather than after it, which is where a limiter might be in like a mastering kind of setup. The last thing you would do. So that's quite clever really, because if we've got a very hot signal with lots of peaks, if we put it into a limiter, it's not necessarily going to completely clean it up, but that limiter, because it's kind of preemptively dealing with the signal, it does a really nice job, and I think it sounds great. I'm going to back the gain off now and just go through all that again. I think that's maybe a bit of a better place for this particular guitar. Here we go again. So we have nothing. I'm going to try and play the same phrase. Here's a wee bit limiter. Here's a wee bit more limiter. And here's our full limiter. So we've like squashed the guitar sound a lot there. I think the thing that I was really impressed about with this pedal is just the way it makes the guitar sound come out of the cabinet. So I'm going to go back to a setting here. We're going to do a wee more gain, something like that. So let's say I've got some chords. Listen closely to the sustain of that. Getting a lot more sustain, and it's kind of like with the pedal off my guitar. You don't really notice this until you use this pedal, but my guitar sound kind of felt like it was in the cab. I'm sitting here looking at my cabinet. I've got 2 vintage 30s and a closed back cab over there, and it was like the guitar sound's kind of in the middle of the cabinet there. When this goes on though, it's like the guitar's now sticking its head out the front going, I'm here! Another thing that did strike me about this pedal when I was mucking about with it was its effect on bends. Now again, I'm doing this clean. There's a whole world of this with distortion included, but let's have a listen to what it does with just on clean and just with bends. So here's some bends. I think we're getting an even better attack on the bend, and then after I've done a bend up, it sustains that bend for quite a lot longer. Let's have a listen again. Just have this impression the bends is fatter sounding and it goes longer. Let's go full gain now. We'll do that again. Sounds kind of disappears there. And it's there a lot longer that time. And I'm really trying not to play any harder, but it's just the pedal and the limiter. It's got a very big attack there, and then that comes up. Now, I couldn't help but think, it's interesting when you're demoing a pedal of where you end up, or what kind of stuff you end up playing, but when you have this full, I just couldn't help but thinking it's starting to sound kind of quite country when that was full. Not that I can play country, but you know, it's like, oh, I can be a country player for 10 minutes. Woo! What else do I know country-wise? So like it's very authentic. When you have that limiter up full, I think that definitely sounds sort of quite country. And then I thought, just the way, when I was doing those bends, I felt the notes were just fatter and thicker, and it reminded me a wee bit of, you know, that kind of velvety, almost chocolate jazz tone. Now, I'm using a 73 Telecaster Thinline at the moment, and it is semi-hollow. So I thought, well, okay, what does it sound like if we try some jazzy stuff? So I've moved on to my neck pickup, and I'm just rolling the tone off. Let me just turn the pedal off. Okay, so here's a wee sort of jazz thing. Pop the pedal on. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to do full. I'm not going to do country. I'm not going to do country limiter. I think that sounds lovely. It's warm. It's kind of, it's fat sounding. Let's listen again. Well, you know what I have to say, I really like that, and it's like this obviously has its kind of roots in many ways in rock guitar, but why not try it out on some different things? It's definitely quite flexible. I've really enjoyed mucking around with this pedal. I've not even got any distortion yet, and no AC/DC has been played. So yeah, thanks very much for listening, and I'll catch up with you next time.